United versus Emirates? Can a U.S. airline compete with the best? We're flying them back-to-back on the same route to find out, is United that bad compared to Emirates?
Hello, jet setters. I'm Jeb Brooks from greenergrass.com. United versus Emirates, which is actually better? We're about to find out, and you're coming along. Whenever we make videos about U.S. airlines, we tend to get a ton of comments saying that they're just not as good as Middle Eastern or Asian carriers. The question is that really true? Or is it just that those other airlines are great at flashy marketing?
Here's the plan. We're comparing these airlines head-to-head on a route they both operate. First, we'll fly United from Newark to Athens, then Emirates from Athens back to Newark. We stumbled across this photo setup and couldn't pass it by.
How's this for a background? It's like red carpet celebrity stuff.
So it's no real secret, I have a little soft spot for United, but we are going to be as fair and objective as possible in this comparison. But even still, I gotta say, Emirates, that's tough competition.
It sure is, but let us know in the comments below. Do you think this criticism of U.S. airlines compared to Middle Eastern or Asian airlines is fair? We're comparing these two airlines in their business class cabins, and that experience begins here on the ground. That means we're on our way to United's Polaris Lounge.
Entrance into this lounge is limited to passengers in business class on United or Star Alliance carriers. This lounge is not like the overcrowded ones you hear about in the news. This is very exclusive space.
Now, the Polaris Lounge here in Newark is one of the best in the whole system, in my opinion. It's nicely sized. Now, we're here pretty early. It's going to get much more crowded as the day goes on. There's plenty of different options for seating. There's also great views of here the ramp. You're never far away from the action out there, which I think is an important part of a lounge experience. It's nice to get into the mode of where you are and the significance of it. Also, there are two different dining options here. There's a buffet, which is a perfectly nice thing to have if somebody wants to eat quickly or just grab something smaller. But there's also a full sit-down restaurant with a menu. We're going to try that out in a little bit. But for now, I think it's just about enjoying the views and the various places to sit here in the lounge.
Unfortunately, some of those places to sit are starting to show their age. Maybe it's time for some of this furniture to be replaced. The lounge also has showers and nap rooms. And we perused the buffet before making our way over to the dining room. All of the food and drinks are included. And speaking of those drinks, you can order pretty much anything you want at the bar or have it delivered to your table. Suzanne was ready for a glass of champagne, and I had a glass of Sauvignon Blanc.
It's my happy place.
Suzanne ordered the prawns. I'm having the chicken. We're both starting with salads. Now, did the burger look really good? It did. I regret not having it, but don't yuck my yum.
I come from the Dwight Schrute school, which says there's never anything wrong with a beet salad. As in the rest of the lounge, the views are never far away. The mushrooms were the highlight of this dish. Unfortunately, the chicken was a little dry. Suzanne's prawns were perfectly prepared and tasty. Sadly though, our chocolate chip skillet cookie was pretty difficult to cut into, but once we got in, it was well worth the effort. So delicious.
If this comparison was just based on lounges alone, this could be our winner right here. But since it's not, it's time to fly. Let's go find our plane.
On April 4th, 2026, Suzanne and I will both be participating in AvCon. It's an event in Atlanta with all kinds of aviation YouTubers. It promises to be a great time. If you head to the website below, you'll be able to get your own tickets and find out more information. Regardless, I really hope we'll see you there. And here it is, the 7-year-old 787-10 that's going to take us over to Athens today.
Old livery. Womp womp.
As disappointing as that is, we're not going to consider the livery in this comparison.
One quick aside, please never mistake any criticism for a lack of gratitude. We can't believe the experiences we get to share with you, but we want to share our observations as well, good and bad, so you have a sense of what to expect if you choose to book one of these trips. Look, you might think it's obvious, but I have been so fortunate to have flown on so many different airlines. It really is anybody's game. I believe in United, I believe in Emirates, and we're gonna find out for sure after this trip which one's actually better. And it's time. Let's board this bird. Next stop, Athens.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, all that enthusiasm was soon diminished. You see, this flight attendant was blocking my seat and arguing with another passenger about his pre-ordered meal. I stood here for more than a full minute before she finally noticed me and asked me to move along. I told her she was in my seat, and she finally allowed me to sit. Oh well. At the seat, you'll find 2 pillows and a blanket. My even-numbered seat, 8L, is set away from the window, while Suzanne's seat, just in front of me, 7L, is closer and offers a bit more privacy. A flight attendant presented a tray of pre-departure beverages before the same one who'd been in my seat earlier during boarding arrived and said, "Did you pre-order the beef?" Often, on business class flights, you'll be greeted by your name, maybe even a thanks for your airline loyalty status, but not here. Sadly, this was also when I started noticing the wear and tear on my seat. Despite an awesome lounge in Polaris, this flight is not off to a great start. Even though it's damaged, the seat itself is very well designed, with great storage here. I'll test out these headphones once we get in the air. There are plenty of adjustments, as well as a remote for the IFE, and a number of power sources. And the tray table is tucked away here. It offers a good solid surface for getting some work done or enjoying your meals.
As always, this is a data-driven approach to this measurement, which is why we've got the greener grass tape measure. Now the screen is 15.5 inches, but what about the seat width? Here on United, you're looking at 20 inches of seat width.
And on that screen, you'll find 354 choices, but Suzanne didn't need to go past Mamma Mia. It's the right choice for a flight to Athens, right? Printed menus had been placed at each seat, but Suzanne and I both pre-ordered our meals. Breakfast will be served about 90 minutes before arrival. United's wine list heavily focuses on American wines, and I was excited to try the Schaefer 1.5 Cabernet Sauvignon. It's time to begin our 8-hour, 24-minute flight over to Athens. I decided to try out the headphones, and the first thing I noticed was this bent plug. Thankfully, it didn't diminish the sound quality too much. I still prefer my Bose QC20s, they're just more comfortable. Sadly, they're no longer in production though. Wi-Fi was available for purchase for about $15 for the whole flight. The amenity kit is a collaboration with Therabody and is made of a very nice material. Inside, you'll find everything you'd expect for an 8-hour flight.
So we're about an hour outside of Newark, and the service is beginning. They've got the carts in the aisle. The first course is coming around. It's a slow start to the flight. There really wasn't much turbulence at all, so a slow way to begin this U.S. entrant in this comparison.
I began with a gin and tonic and warm nuts and enjoyed the view out the window as we continued our journey across the Atlantic. About a week before our flight, we were able to pre-order meals. Doing this ensures you'll have your choice on board. Suzanne went for the lemongrass chicken, and I opted for the short rib. It's also possible to preview most of the service here. On the menu, there was a choice of appetizers. Suzanne planned to have the burrata, and I was going to order the salmon. We want to show you as much of the onboard options as possible, but by the time they reached Suzanne's row, they'd run out of burrata, so we both had the salmon, and that was a good thing if you ask me. This was some of the best fish I've ever had on a plane. The Tuscan kale romaine salad was tasty, but pro tip, never pass on the garlic bread here on United. It's always a highlight. I asked our flight attendant for a glass of the Schaefer 1.5 Cabernet Sauvignon, but she told me not to rely on the menu for what was actually available, but after some searching, she did find it on her cart. The short rib was really, really good. It was so full of flavor and tender. This was a real highlight. Suzanne's chicken was tasty too, but the portion size was pretty small. I mean, look at it compared to her fork. And for dessert, I couldn't pass up United's world-famous Sundae cart. I had ice cream with whipped cream and caramel. Suzanne had the apple tart.
2.5 hours to finish service. That's a little long here on United, but we'll take it. Anyway, let's check out beds.
I have the more primo seat that's closer to the window, a little more privacy. Let's check it out bed mode. Obviously, always a treat to have a lie flat bed on a plane. It's amazing. But it is a little bit restricted here in the width, I will say. Probably not gonna have trouble getting some sleep though, so good night.
That was about 3 hours of sleep, almost on the nose, and it was good. Would have liked more, but that's what I got. Now it's time for breakfast. I'm having the scrambled eggs. Suzanne's having the banana bread. It's time to get into Athens.
These pre-landing meals were both impressive. There was plenty of food here, and it was all tasty. It's proof that airlines can offer solid breakfasts. The sky was really showing off this morning, and we touched down in Athens nearly 30 minutes early at about 7:45.
And we've arrived in Athens. I think we saw with that flight, US Airlines can provide a solid product. However, it's really service where it can be kind of inconsistent, unfortunately.
Yeah, there were some incredible flight attendants on that flight. Really dedicated, excited, enthusiastic members of the crew. Unfortunately, the person assigned to our section was just seemed like maybe there was somewhere else she'd rather be. So that was a bit of a disappointment. But let's spend some time in Athens before checking out Emirates. Now that we've come all this way, we've got to check out Greece. And that's thanks to our sponsor, Incogni. You know who didn't have to worry about spam? The ancient Greeks. But you do. Spam emails, spam texts, worst of all, spam calls. How do these spammers get our information in the first place? Well, it's from so-called data brokers and people sites. You see, these companies assemble information and then sell it. Things like our phone numbers, our email addresses, even our social security numbers. Now, we have the right to have our information removed from these sites, but of course they make it cumbersome and there are new ones popping up all the time. Incogni reaches out to these data brokers on your behalf and requests that your information be removed. They handle any objections that may come up. The whole process is automated. Incogni also makes sure that your data stays off the market by conducting repeated removals just in case your data pops up again. If you sign up for an annual plan with Incogni, which I have and recommend, it'll send repeated removal requests on your behalf to have your information removed from these sites. For more information, head to incogni.com/JebBrooks. I've been using Incogni for a long time now. My spam emails are down, but best of all, my phone's not blowing up with those spam calls anymore. Again, that's incogni.com/JebBrooks. If you use code JebBrooks at checkout, you'll save 60% off that annual plan I'm using. Now, let's get back to Greece and then the Athens airport.
Athens is such a vibrant city with so much history and beauty. We particularly enjoyed watching the changing of the guard ceremony at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier in Syntagma Square.
Athens, just like any other city, with plenty of traffic, buildings and all that kind of thing, you're just walking along and then here you come across some ancient Roman baths from the 3rd century AD. After a sensational time here in Greece, the competition continues. Let's head back to the airport to check out Emirates.
It's time to fly Emirates, the most hyped airline in the world. But is it really worth all that hype? We're here to find out. See what I'm doing here?
Emirates is well known for their over-the-top offerings, especially on their A380s, things like onboard showers in first class, bars in business class, but they're not without their controversy. People sometimes point to these Middle Eastern airlines being subsidized by their governments as an explanation for these flashy offerings. Now, for what it's worth, Emirates says they don't accept state subsidies, and in fact, United partners with Emirates, so it can't be that big a deal, right? But we're not here to get into all of that. Instead, we're just here to see what it's like to fly with them.
Emirates does not operate a lounge here in Athens. Instead, they use the Gold Air Lounge. But fear not, just a couple of months ago, we were in Dubai and we checked out the Emirates business class lounge there. So to make this a fair comparison, let's go back in time.
Emirates business class lounge in Dubai is absolutely massive, but still seems crowded most of the time. It's got lots of features like a spa and a smoking room, but no sit-down restaurant. Unfortunately, the food from the buffet isn't nearly as elevated as what you'll find in Polaris. In fact, that Polaris Lounge has a lot more in common with Emirates' first-class lounges. But hey, at least there's coffee here. Meanwhile, back in Athens, we settled into the Gold Air Lounge.
As you can see, there's not a lot to this lounge, which is why we wanted to compare the one in Dubai. That said, it's a comfortable place to enjoy resting before the flight. We're not going to eat anything here because we want to save room for the food on the plane.
We made our way back downstairs and over to our gate.
They did not design this gate with viewers in mind, but there it is back there, the 8-year-old 777 that's going to take us back to Newark today. Now, this is not our plane. This one's bound for Dubai, but it's a better angle than we got down there at our gate. So Emirates has a number of different configurations in their 777s, but the one we're on is a newer one with a 121 configured business class cabin.
Here's one of those business class cabins in a 232 configuration. As you can see, not every seat has direct aisle access, making it an industry laggard. Unfortunately, many of their airplanes still have this configuration, but the majority will be refurbished to look like the one we're about to check out today.
So what do you say we head on over? It's time to board that bird.
Next stop, Newark, New Jersey.
On this flight, Suzanne is in the slightly more exposed seat 11B, and I'm just behind her, tucked closer to the window in 12A. And on the seat, you'll find a pillow and a blanket. This seat feels huge. I've got 3 windows to enjoy the views. There are 3 power sources, plenty of seat adjustments, and an iPad to control the in-flight entertainment screen. Not only that, there's a mini bar with water and snacks. Unfortunately, I did have to ask to have my IFE reset since it wasn't working when we arrived. Flight attendants came around with pre-departure beverages. The pineapple ginger juice was a hit with Suzanne, but there's no way I was going to pass up a glass of Veuve Clicquot.
And it's time for the greener grass tape measure. Let's check the width. 22 inches. That's 2 inches more than United.
The screen looks massive, but let's measure it anyway. 22 and a half. Massive screen.
A flight attendant passed out pajamas. Suzanne was certainly impressed. Now, that was followed by the menus. Pre-ordering is available on Emirates, but only on flights departing from Dubai. The cocktail, mocktail, and wine lists rival what you'll find in the finest bars at sea level. Soon, another flight attendant brought around amenity kits, which we'll explore in the air. And thankfully, my IFE was finally working again just before we pushed back, which was good because watching the external camera feed made for an incredible experience as we taxied out to the runway, where we'll begin our 10-hour and 2-minute flight over to Newark. If we're comparing United and Emirates, who should we put up against Delta? Let us know in the comments. We got one final show from the evening sky here in Greece. What a night. But there was another show inside the plane. Look at the stars on the ceiling. The tray table is massive, and the amenity kit, which is a collaboration with Bulgari, is absolutely stuffed with all kinds of useful things. Now there's a separate bag with slippers and an eye shade, which are made from trees. The headphones were okay, but yet again, I turned to my own Bose headphones to enjoy the classic film, The American President. Now, there were so many choices on the IFE, we couldn't even count them all. We think there were about 1,500 movies, and there's even live TV as well. Now, I never could get my phone to connect to the Wi-Fi, but Suzanne had no trouble, and it was free for passengers in business class. Shortly after takeoff, a flight attendant appeared with a mattress pad, which she insisted on putting onto my seat herself. I offered to do it, but she wouldn't hear of it.
Well, this flight is off to a pretty epic start. That's a mattress cover on the seat for a little more comfort, a martini to start with some warm nuts. That's pretty epic. And food service should begin any minute now. Now, the competition continues because, well, dinner on United was really tasty. Let's see how Emirates does it.
As I sipped my martini, we chased an Italian sunset, and Suzanne enjoyed her virgin mojito. Her seat, despite being closer to the aisle than mine, certainly offers a good deal more privacy than mine did back on United. Dinner began for me with smoked salmon with nori. This was, I'm sorry to say, not very good at all. If United salmon was some of the best fish I've ever had on a plane, this was some of the worst. But at least the fresh salad was tasty and, yet again, more garlic bread. Suzanne had the traditional Arabic meze. It was a welcome taste of the Middle East, she said, but she wishes the pita had been warmed up. Now, I don't think our observations about the food are because the flight began in Athens and not Dubai. The first courses just weren't as good as United's offering. Now, when it came to our main courses, we were also a bit underwhelmed. Suzanne's chicken was fairly bland, but hey, at least it was a more generous portion than she got on United. And I'm sorry to say, my lamb was also dry and tough. Now, I did prefer this Chilean Cabernet Sauvignon to the wine I had on United. This was really good. For dessert, Suzanne had the wild berry and almond tart. I went for the chocolate mocha marquise, which was the best thing I ate on this flight. All in, that service took 3 hours and 13 minutes, almost an hour longer than United. Now, there is an express dining option, but no matter how you cut it, 3 hours is a long time.
As Suzanne mentioned, it's always a treat to be in a lie-flat seat. I mean, this is pretty amazing. That said, just like United, it's tight at the shoulders. Now, I think the footrest is a little bit wider than United, but the shoulders are definitely tighter. I'm fortunate. I'm a side sleeper, so I'll have no problem. Speaking of, I'll see you in a little bit.
We both enjoyed a few hours of rest before waking up for some light bites before landing in Newark. I opted for the vegetarian poke bowl, which was fresh and surprisingly filling. Suzanne went for the lamb gyros, which were a bit disappointing. There's just not a lot of lamb here. Again, the pre-landing meal falls short of what we had on United. But the hot towel and city lights made it clear this flight was coming to a close.
The crew on that Emirates flight were super professional and incredibly well trained, but the service took a lot longer than we would have expected. But there's a lot more to this comparison than just service, so let's take a look at the Jebscore and the pricing.
What's the verdict? Who won? Well, it's not as close as you might think. In terms of lounges, United gets a strong start with Polaris. The exclusivity and restaurant dining are a few steps ahead of Emirates' offerings at their business class lounge. Moving on to the seat, things get a bit closer, but Emirates gets the win here for the wider seat and more spacious footwell. While the seat on United certainly isn't bad, it just seemed more narrow in all the wrong places and shows its age. Emirates' ICE system simply can't be matched. With more than 1,500 movies, live TV, and a large, bright screen, this one wasn't even close. How about food? Well, Emirates might dazzle with martinis in the sky, but when it comes down to the food that was simply more delicious, United wins. Now, service is the toughest to measure, but ultimately, we never felt welcomed on our United flight. Sure, it was our bad luck with the one flight attendant, but we found inconsistent crews as a common theme on U.S. carriers. Some are top-notch, while others just dial it in. Emirates wins service. Now, let's talk price. We booked 2 one-way tickets, which most people will never do, so instead let's show you a round-trip ticket for a 10-day trip from Newark to Athens with 90 days advance purchase. The price on United is a whopping $6,600. Emirates offers a few different fare classes, but for the most comparable, the ticket is $4,800. Now, where does that leave things? Well, Emirates wins. But it's not as close as we or you thought. On a different day, with a different crew, United could have won it.
Between now and the next time.
See you in the sky.
So now what I've got to do is I've got to...
Any explanation of your shirt color choice?
This was the cleanest shirt in my closet this morning. I said cleanest, not clean.
2 United, 1 Emirates flight to Athens, and this is supposedly the slow season. More people on the road is a good thing, as long as I don't have to wait in line. But first, I gotta buy a bottle of water. Sorry, my credit cards are in my phone. She's filming, and I'm also getting my credit card out. We're good. Let's go.
4 wheels, 4 long haul.
The crew on that Emirates flight were very professional and clearly so well trained. Between now and the next time.
See you in Newark Airport. Just feels like Newark Airport all the time. Not a bad thing. We like it here.
Proof it's a cycle that keeps on turning. There it is, the Athens flight for today. About a week after we left for our trip. Time keeps marching on.